Welcome to the World of Horror podcast with Mom and Mac. I'm Mom.
And I'm Mac.
This is the podcast where we share our love of international horror. Everyone has their fears, but we are not afraid of subtitles. Disclaimers for adult language and spoilers. Hi, Mac. How's it going?
Hi, Mom. It's going pretty good. Here's a cool little bit of info. I've been going to the CrossFit gym for 1 month.
Ooh.
And in this 1 month, my Apple Watch told me my resting heart rate went down by 10 beats.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That's really cool.
I was like, because usually if it gives me a notification, it's like your cardio fitness is low, but it doesn't say what to do about that. So I'm always like, thanks for that. But to get that notification, I was like, oh, wow, that's so nice. So like now I feel excited to go back to the doctor. Like, yeah, take this blood. Tell me what you think.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job for sticking with it for 1 whole month.
Thank you. It's genuinely been like the best, I think, like fitness thing I've ever done. And I do believe this is the most I've ever consistently worked out in my whole life. And they're really nice. And like everybody there is so buff, so swole. And yet, like on Friday, I hit my new personal record of deadlifting 93 pounds. And all these people who are lifting like 245, they're like, that is just amazing. Good for you, And so that's really sweet.
That's great.
Right? Like everybody's so nice. Like I think if you just are there, they're like, wow, respect. Like you're here and you did it. So that feels really good.
That's really good. We should do that like in all areas of life, I think.
I think so too. Like anybody who's there has done the hard part, like they made it here. You should be like, the idea of gatekeeping anything is so crazy to me.
I think I'm going to do that with my students. I'm going to see how it goes.
Like what?
Like, you guys made it today. Congratulations. Let's have class.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Going to class is hard. So many days I skipped when I was in college. I feel like people set themselves to such a high standard. It's nice to be reminded that, like, no, you are actually doing really well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have my last, I just remembered I have something to do after this. I have my last day of teaching tomorrow. But if I don't do it, it's okay because I don't teach them until 12 o'clock. So, I usually can put something together in an hour or two or whatever. So I'm not that worried about it. But that's the last class that I'm teaching in this like mini-mester. And then I start again a week from Thursday and do it, again, but it's a different schedule with a whole new batch of people. And so this last lesson, I wanted to do something called steel manning. Do you know what that is?
No.
So, have you heard of a straw man argument?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the opposite. This is when you find the strongest part of your opponent's argument. And then you try to argue against that.
I love that.
So it's pretty complicated. So I don't know if I can do it in 50 minutes, but I'm going to try my best. We started talking about why we disagree with people on Friday. And I said it could be over facts. It could be over values, or we could be framing it in two different, or more than that, different ways. And so we had to look at these arguments and decide what was going on here. What are people actually arguing about? And that went over pretty well. So I thought, okay, well, let's do a little more of that. And that'll be that last class. And then I thought, well, for my next group of kids, I think I would make it my first, couple of classes, like how to disagree with people.
Yeah.
Because the class is written with logic. I think you took a intro to philosophy class and you dropped it because there was so much logic in the beginning. And I think that's the kind of it's an intuitive way to set up a course. And it's the way that the author of this course did it. But they don't need to know that. I think it'd be much more useful to know like how to argue and how to disagree with people.
For sure. I love the idea of the steel man because I feel like that's something I've tried to do before whenever I'm first learning about something that has a polarizing stance is I'll just look at what everybody's saying and thinking because, you know, no ideology I feel like is you have to understand where the other people are coming from. And I feel like that makes us all more empathetic as well, like I mean, even with stuff that's really dear to me, like trans stuff, it's like, I've read like why people are super firm in their beliefs, and it hasn't changed my mind, but it's made me be like, I see where they're coming from. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
And then you can talk to them easier, I think, if people feel like you're respecting where they're coming from.
Yeah. I feel like there's like so little of that really in like popular culture, but I feel like it's the natural thing that you would want to do with like a loved one or somebody you're disagreeing with. You'd be like, wait, hold on. Like, we love each other. Let's figure out like what's going on so that we're not screaming at each other. But on TV and stuff, I mean, I have a deal with Quinn where I'll look at the news and she'll look at the weather. I'll be like, is there a hurricane coming? And then she'll tell me. And she'll be like, is my mental health visit going to be covered by my insurance?
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
That's sweet.
Yeah. Because she said she can't look at the news anymore and I can't stop. So might as well be useful.
It has made me feel, I know this is like I don't wholly not look at the news, but like the level to which I feel so much less like I'm about to leave my house and be murdered has like improved tenfold by like not reading about that all the time.
Well, and I think it's great that you're going to this gym on such a regular basis too, where you have like, all those people know you and care about you, even if it's just on a really superficial level, at least they know your face and they know who you are. And it would be weird if you stopped showing up.
That's a good point.
I think that's cool.
It makes like the rest of my day so much better because I go at like 6:30 and if I'm working from home, I'm not seeing anybody. And it is still kind of anxiety inducing to go in the morning, but it's like I did like nothing else in the day can compare. Like I did that, and and I talked to people I don't know that well, and asked somebody like, "How's your day going?" And so then it's like, yeah, I could go to the grocery store. That's no big deal. Whereas if that's the first thing I do in a day, I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should just stay home.
I know. I have so much stuff delivered to me, like because I can. And, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should actually go to an actual store. And I talk myself out of it like every time because it's a big deal and people might not understand what a big deal it is. Like Quinn, again, like she actively seeks out like contact with strangers.
Cannot relate.
No. And God bless her. We need all kinds of people in this world. But, oh, no, that's the last thing that I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do it. And I think it's good that I am teaching in person and all that stuff. And again, if I didn't show up, people would notice. And I think that's a good thing. But, it's no. Much less like going to I was watching this dating reality show and somebody was talking about all the different ways they had tried to like date people. And he was like, I've gone to meetups and I've done the apps and I've gone to bars. And I'm just like, oh no, no.
No.
If I were ever single again, I think I just would kind of be single,
it's weird, the correlation between like, you're not single, like, and no, this is not anything against, it's like, but if you're single for a long time, you don't have experience dating. But then if you're with one person, it's like you don't really have experience dating. You have experience dating them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said to Ellen all the time before, because we're both the first people we've ever like kissed and stuff. And I was like, what if we're doing it in such a weird, bad way that if we, for some reason, we ever were to like make out with somebody else, they'd be like, what are you doing? And we're like, it's not like this. He was cool with it for like over a decade.
That's so funny. You guys have got to be doing something right.
Well, you haven't seen it. Who knows? Somebody would be like, oh my God, that's not what?
That's got to be the case, though. I mean, I have been kissed very badly. And it's kind of like, why? How do you not know that? It's
how did we get here?
Oh man. So that must be the case for some people.
Nobody's telling them.
That would be a hard conversation to have, though, to be fair.
You'd have to be dating them, be like, now that we're, I think I got to tell you, little bit too wet.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a common complaint is like I've heard from friends dating is like, oh, he stuck his tongue down my throat. Oh, it was really wet, Those are the big two. I've heard he stuck his tongue down my throat from multiple people over years. So men, if you're out there,
take note.
Please just keep that in the back of your mind.
In the back of your mouth.
And keep that tongue in the back of your mouth.
Keep it in your back pocket.
There's somebody jotting notes down
that you just met, that you just, like the first time you're going in for a kiss.
Mm-mm.
That's not the move.
Mm-mm. But then who knows? Maybe there is somebody who's like,
I'm sure there is somebody who loves that. We got to get those people together.
Yeah. There's somebody for everyone, and that's beautiful.
Is there, though?
That's what I have to tell myself is like anytime I had coworkers at my old job who I just like detested and would fantasize about like burning their house down, I'd be like, you know what? Somebody loves them.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The very least I could give them.
Yeah. Some imaginary person loves this demon. Aw.
Aw. Sweet.
No, I guess that's true. I mean, I don't know if there is someone for everyone, but I would like to think so. It's a nice thought.
It would feel good.
It's just how do you find them?
That's the question. Like, I think about like, you know how wherever parents decide to raise their children, that just basically decides that child's like kind of who they are too, because who you're friends with, and so weird to think like there's another parallel universe where I don't know any of my friends or I've never met Alan, and I mean, I'm sure in all our parallel universes we're doing fine, but just seems crazy.
Yeah. My parents knew they wanted to move to either Minnesota, Michigan, or Wisconsin, and I think it was probably determined by where one or the other of them got a job that determined all of our lives. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is. But I think we would probably be more or less in the same place. I don't think that things would be like, crazily different.
That's true. Like I know this one somebody I was friends with in high school who I'm not really that close to anymore. And this person is very depressed all the time, and they're always moving to a new place to be like, well, I know I'll feel better there. And nope.
Yeah. Nope,
like,
that's true.
Yeah, like it's the novelty will wear off if there's like a thing that you're not addressing, because it's always like, well, I hate North Carolina, and like, I'm sure North Carolina is not perfect for everybody, but I don't know, I like it here. Everybody I love is here, so it's kind of like, why would I go somewhere else?
Yeah.
And I guess I mean all that to say, there's good people everywhere, but yeah, I don't know. I just went on tangent.
But also I feel like a lot of like how we're raised and where we're raised and who our friends are and all that has an effect on us. But I think so does, how your mother felt when she was carrying you and what her nutrition was like, and like how much you were held when you were an infant and all that stuff, I think has a profound effect on who you turn out to be.
That's true. And that, or like, what are your siblings? Do you have siblings? Like, I've wonder, families that grow up with like 5 kids, they're all 2 years apart, that oldest child, is going to be very different than the youngest child.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Good old nature versus nurture. I love thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, I had a professor come in because like there is a very famous philosopher who believes that we're born a blank slate, like there's nothing, like that we come into this world with, that it's all, the world is all imprinted on our brain, and then that's who we become. And she came in to basically say, oh no,
that can't be true.
Yeah, a lot of who you show up as has to do with like who your mom was, and like I said, the nutrition and how she felt, how much stress she was under, and all this other stuff, because all that gets like, you're in your mom, so all of that affects who you are. And then how you are raised until the age of 2 or something like that has a profound effect on what kind of an adult you turn out to be. And then at some point you can sort of make yourself who you want to be, maybe in your 20s, but all that time up until like your mid 20s is pretty much determined.
Yeah.
That's what she said. I'm not saying like she's the be all and end all, but she was, an expert in like prenatal development. And so she was a really cool person to have come and talk to my class.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think about that a lot.
Anytime sometimes I'll meet a friend's parent and I'm like, I think I can kind of like give you some slack on a few things because this is all making so much sense now.
Yes, definitely. Oh my gosh, it's so true.
Where you're like, oh, I had no idea.
I apologize.
That's my bad. I thought you were just being this way. No, I see now.
You were programmed this way. Okay.
Ooh, oh boy. Like you told me once when I was younger about a friend that I had whose mom we both knew, and you, like, I was really mad at this friend and you were like, can you just imagine for a second that was your mom? And I was like, oh, you know what? We're cool. Like, I don't want to be her friend, but like, I don't hate her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. So Plato thought we should take all the kids away from the parents and sort of like raise them, apart from the parents.
Depends on the parents, certainly. Like, now who are the people raising them? It's
right.
Kind of like, well, if they're fucked up, then,
But I guess the kids would all be fucked up in the same way.
So we all know what to do with them, at least. Yeah, it is kind of like we got a bunch of mystery fucked upness in this world, because like I swear I'll watch some videos that are like maybe some true crimey videos that talk about, like, let's say a child who did some like horrible things, and whenever they start being like, and their parents were really great, I'm like, nah, let's cut the, like, how do we know? Can you show me footage of every time they were raised? Like, I just simply feel like that sounds wild. The idea of like, well, they had a perfect upbringing, and then for some reason they did this horrible thing. It's like, those two things don't make sense.
Well, this is like really timely, but like this whole Ed Gein show just came out on Netflix. And I'm kind of fascinated with Ed Gein because he grew up in Wisconsin and
oh yeah.
But it's a Ryan Murphy joint, and I couldn't get through the first episode because it's like so sympathetic to like what a monster to him because of the monster that his mother was. And I'm just like, oh, come on. Like,
that's some bullshit. It's still like, I know so many people with monstrous mothers who are like the kindest people you will ever meet, you know, like, sure, they have some demons, but like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
That
I
don't
just
fly.
couldn't do it. Yeah.
That actually relates to this movie, because I just was like, I relate to this guy in some ways. And in that way, that makes me hate him so much.
Oh, really?
For his outlook on life. Yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
All right. So we're doing Home Invasion this week, WoHos. And our first movie is called Sleep Tight. The short plot summary from IMDb says, Cesar is the superintendent of an apartment building and keeps very close tabs on the tenants. He secretly enjoys inflicting pain on others, and the occupant of apartment 5B will be his new target. In Spanish, it's Mientras duermes, which means while you sleep, and it's directed by Jaume Balagueró, written by Alberto Marini, and it stars Luis Tosar, Marta Etura, Alberto San Juan, and the cinematography is by Pablo Rosso, edited by Guillermo de la Cal, music by Lucas Vidal. The release dates are September 2011 at Fantastic Fest and the 14th of October 2011 in Spain. The anniversary is coming up, and it has a running time of 102 minutes. How'd you feel about this runtime, Mac?
The first time I tried to watch it, I had to put it down and then come back to it. And, you know, by the end, I was in such a horrible mood. Spoiler alert, I will say, I do believe this is my least favorite movie that we have ever done.
Ever watched?
And it's not even close. Like, I can't even think of one. Like, and what is so messed up is it's not because it's poorly made. It's not because it's poorly acted or like, it's actually very well made. I detest the subject matter so much, and I do not trust the writer. Like, I'm going to be honest. I feel like the writer's got some demons to get through. And what disturbed me was when I was looking online for discussion, I found several people who thought that the main character was extremely sympathetic, and that actually bummed me out even more. That like I had to watch something else to take my mind off of it. Like, so much so was I affected by this movie.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes WoHos will talk a little bit about the movie beforehand, but usually we just have this running joke. We're just like, save it for the pod.
Yeah.
And so, wow.
I saved it for the pod.
You sure did. I just thinking about other movies that you've hated so much, and to say that this one like is so much worse than those is something else.
It might be my least favorite movie of all time.
You can't mean that. Really?
I think it's an incel manifesto.
Yeah.
I think this movie hates women on so many levels, and it like made me feel sick to watch it. Like, I was so disturbed by it, and it made me sad, honestly.
Yeah. I think when we get to the ending really made me sad in a way that I don't remember feeling that way when I watched it the first couple of times. And like I was telling Mac before, I watched this when it came out and I loved it. And I don't love it anymore. So something's happened to me too. And
I think it was all, it's like, if I was to take away all my emotions, I would say it is a good movie because I think it's a gut punch and that means something. That's like, they did not stumble into this emotion that they have made me feel, you know, like this was very well made and executed. I just hate what was executed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into the plot. Concierge of an apartment building in Barcelona named Cesar is on the roof of a building explaining his nature of not being able to find any happiness, no matter what he does or what good things happen to him. As he wakes up in Clara's apartment and begins his routine working in the main lobby, he gives hush money to teen Ursula, the daughter of another tenant. Okay, well, the opening sequence is actually pretty frightening once you realize what's gone on. So he has this dream, or I don't know if it was a dream or not, but then when he wakes up in the bed, he's next to a woman and he goes into the bathroom. He uses the toothbrush in there, and I think he showers, and he does all of this within the apartment. And then you realize that's not his girlfriend. And so that's what makes it really, really terrifying. And so once he comes out of the apartment, there's this girl who is, you know, that he has to pay hush money to, who knows what he's doing, which is another layer that makes this incredibly creepy and disgusting. Cesar visits his sick mother in the hospital, who is practically unable to speak to her son, but listens to him talk about Clara. Veronica, another tenant, asks Cesar to take care of her dogs, giving detailed directions on how to feed them. Cesar ignores her instructions and feeds her dog Rocio a slice of pie.
There are some things off the bat that are so... I just have so many questions for the writer as to what he meant by it, because not everybody is kind to Cesar, but you know what people are kind? All women. And now, sure, Ursula is extorting this guy. Now she is a child and he is guilty. So, I mean, that doesn't count to me. Like that to me is kind of like, she's the outlier, but every woman that interacts with this man is kind to him and the men are not. Like right. His boss is a fucking asshole. Like, I think it even shows like other male guests kind of being more brusque with him, but like Veronica's a sweet, lovely lady. Like, she's your typical like old lady who lives, you know, I think we all have met one such woman who's like, you know, maybe you can tell is a little bit lonely. And so you're like really listening to her talk and you're like, okay, but she's nice. There's nothing wrong with her. And she's sweet to him. Like, she's like, can you please do me this favor? She's not like, hey, bud, go do this shit, you know? And that to me is such a disturbing detail.
Yes. Yeah, she's very grateful for the fact that he's agreed to take care of her dogs because they're a little bit high maintenance. And but he does agree, and he completely ignores her instructions.
And she says the dog will have diarrhea everywhere if these instructions are not met.
Yes. Clara, entering her apartment, opens up letters she has received, then tears them up and throws them all away. While this is happening, Cesar hides under her bed, waiting for her to fall asleep in order to use chloroform to keep her asleep so he can inject a hypodermic needle filled with semen into her care products.
How do you think of this shit? And again, it feels so targeted at women because he is injecting them into women's products. You know, obviously men can do skincare, but you know, it's like face cream and like stuff like that. It just feels so malicious, specifically towards everything female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I guess now I'm starting to feel like it is pretty sexist because, I mean, her personality so his mission is to make everyone feel as miserable as he does. And she is his special mission because she has an upbeat attitude always, no matter what. So as a result of having this stuff injected into her products, she breaks out. And so he's like, oh my God, you really need to go to a dermatologist. You know, your skin is not looking that great. And she's like, that's okay. It'll clear up. Like she doesn't, like nothing sticks to her. Like she doesn't have any, you know, access to those like lower emotions, it seems like. And so this is like a special mission for him.
And what was I going to say? Sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. And that sort of the image of him lying under the bed is particularly creepy because we see him a couple of times while she's already asleep in the bed and he's lying underneath it. And then we see him go through his routine of using this chloroform to make sure that she stays asleep. But there's like, I don't know if the synopsis is going to mention it, but there's a time when she's coming home with her boyfriend. And so there's a little bit of suspense, like whether he's going to be seen or not, because he's already placed himself underneath the mattress on the floor. The morning after, he sneaks out of Clara's apartment with Ursula waiting outside. She demands that Cesar provide her with an adult movie if he wants her to keep her mouth shut. Cesar, working in the lobby, finds Veronica heading out of the apartment. He questions Veronica where Rocio is, and she explains that Rocio has horrible diarrhea from something he may have eaten. Ursula, sneaking out of school, goes to Cesar's apartment and asks for the videotape. She tells him that she and Clara talked about Cesar, and the price for her keeping her mouth shut will be €100. Cesar has also angered another of the tenants by not taking care of the plants, killing them. Visiting his mother at the hospital again, Cesar says that he is close to wiping Clara's smile off her face, as his goal is to make his tenants miserable. The apartment cleaners are informed by Cesar that the office was not cleaned properly, which leads to the cleaner's son being in trouble.
I remember I was going to say, I think this is still... I saw comments online where people describe this movie as being darkly funny. I did not see it that way. However, I think this could be a funny premise. Genuinely, I think you could have a movie that has horrible things in it that is enjoyable. And I think this idea of, I like the very basic idea of it, of like, you know, he gives her this rash. Now, I wouldn't have made it from semen, but, you know, okay. But that she's like, well, I'm going to get your cream and clear it up. Like that could be very funny, you know, but I guess I relate to Cesar in the way of in the beginning when he's talking about how hard it is to wake up and to not think of anything that could ever make you happy and to feel this way even as a child. Like those are all things I relate to. Like I remember being a kid and being depressed and that being horrible. And I still struggle with it now. And that feeling is so horrible. Yes. But the idea that any of that is like something you could ever externalize and hate other people for, to me is just like disturbing on so many levels. And I saw people commenting like, people like Clara piss me off because they think the world is just going to cater to them. And it's like, clearly not, when she's getting these letters. Like this more so speaks to somebody's strength of will to be able to be like, this fucking sucks, but you know, let me find the good in it. Cause that's what I've had to teach myself to do, is like, I can be very negative. So I do try to think of nice things so that I don't wallow. And that's not easy. And I just think sometimes incel types have this idea that women have it easy in the world. And these are moments that make me so happy, honestly, that I was born like, you know, assigned female at birth, because I can tell you straight up that it is not easy. And like, I have seen a marked difference sometimes in how people treat me, where I think if I was a pretty girl again, maybe this person would be nicer to me. But that still does not compare to how nice it is to not be catcalled, to not have coworkers sexually harass me, to not have bosses sexually harass me, to not, you know, to like walk in the world. Like I would not trade that. You know, I can take some people not giving me free things sometimes if it means, you know, like there's no comparison. And I'm also white. So, you know, there's all these other intersections of race that go into it too. And I just don't like, it's so stupid. This idea of like, well, these bitches can get whatever they want and stuff. They cannot. It's not true. You're huffing something.
Well, I think what's kind of interesting, just to bring it back to me for a second, is that when I think when I watched this the first time, I was really like closely associating myself with Cesar, and I was thinking that we're the same. We're like pretty much like we view the world in the same way. And I just think this is a pretty good advertisement for sobriety, because I would have seen this at 7 years sober and versus 21 years sober. Have a completely different outlook. And every time there was somebody who was interacting with Cesar, I was associating with them. And so it's just really interesting. It's the same film. The only thing that has changed is me. And so I think that's just really an interesting thing, because I also grew up with pretty crippling depression and also had a pretty bleak outlook on life in general and people. And so I think it makes sense that, I was still kind of more liable to associate myself with him and the way he looked at the world. And now rewatching this is just like completely different. So
yeah, you can see how like, I mean, I guess they're trying to say that this guy truly, no matter what, cannot be happy. But the people in his life, with the exception of men, the women in this movie could not be kinder to him. And there are people who don't see anybody ever and like sit alone all day. If that is you, my heart goes out to you. Like that is a horrible thing to go through. Isolation really affects our brain in so many ways. And this guy does not have this problem. He's got people thanking him for his work and being like, you are instrumental to me feeling good and at home here. That's great. That's really nice.
But the men hate him because he doesn't do his job.
Yeah.
Like he's
they
a
see
lazy
him for what
bum.
he is.
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. And I can see them thinking, oh, you're spending all your time talking to all these women. You're not doing the hard parts of your job. I was accused of that one time. I had a job and I used to really, surprisingly, WoHos, if you know me at all, I used to really like to talk to customers and stuff. And I was accused of like taking the easy parts of my job and not doing the harder parts. And I was just like, God, if you had any idea how difficult it is for me to actually like interact with people, I feel like I'm actually doing a service here, and it's not easy. But anyway, it's really, really, I'm glad we're talking about this, even though it's your least favorite film of all time.
No, me too. Like I hated watching it, but I did feel like I would feel good after talking about it with you.
Good. Cesar, once again hiding under Clara's bed, uses chloroform on her to keep her in a deep sleep and begins messing with more of Clara's items and planting bug eggs in her apartment. A couple of days pass, and Clara's rashes, which she was developing due to Cesar's messing with her care products, have slightly gone away. Relieved for a second, she finds many cockroaches in her apartment and decides to stay with her mother until Cesar fumigates her apartment. The police get involved to figure out who is harassing Clara, and Cesar frames the cleaner's son, which leads to his arrest. Which is really cruel because, not only is he framing him for this crime, but it's a pretty young guy, and he's very sweet. And of course, he has no idea like why this is happening to him.
Yeah. And the sense of security you'd feel as Clara as well, being like, well, okay, at least this part I don't have to worry about anymore, because if you do think that was the guy, you're like, well, okay, great.
It's taken care of. Yeah. Cesar returns to Clara's apartment, and while hiding under her bed, he finds that she brought her boyfriend Marcos as well, having accidentally been hit by some chloroform on his face upon the shaking of Marcos and Clara's fornication. Who wrote this? Cesar makes a desperate attempt to leave the apartment quietly, but realizes he has the wrong keys to the apartment, leaving him locked inside. That's a pretty good scene.
Yes, when he looks down and you see it's 3A and not 3B, it's like, ooh, and you're thinking, some people, again, I'll reference, had said like, oh, you root for him. Not me. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Though I had actually already read the plot, because I was like, I need to know what happened. Like sometimes for movies, I'm like, I literally can't function if I don't know what happens in this. So I knew what was going to, but in my head, I let myself believe some sort of hope in a way. I was like, get him.
But the physicality here of Luis Tosar is really amazing because he's trying not to pass out, from the chloroform as he's trying to get to the door and then realizing he doesn't have the right key to let himself out of the apartment.
And the way that the camera, like the sounds and everything, like you really get the sense of like he's losing control of his body.
Yeah. Really good stuff. Cesar wakes up in Clara's shower and begins to worry as Marcos had found Cesar's sports bag with many suspicious items. Well, this is like some of this is just in the synopsis is really rushed over. Marcos says, "Will you come with me into the bedroom? I want to show you something." And there's a canted angle as Cesar is walking into the bedroom. And so, you get the feeling that, something's really amiss. And the bed has been stripped. There's like nothing at all except all of his paraphernalia lying on top of the mattress. So he's been caught. He's cooked, or so we think. And so it's a really scary moment just for
this is where I'm like, hey, Marcos?
Yeah.
Bro, like, did you want to get put on the You Fool Award list? Because why are you not calling the police or something? Like, bro, I just, it pissed me off. Like, to me, this is sloppy writing. Like, I get if maybe you're saying, oh, this guy just wants to take care of it himself. But if he knew that maybe he doesn't know about the letters and everything, but I'm just like,
I don't think he knows about the letters.
Okay. But I don't know. And I did like a little bit the characterization of like when they first discover the stuff under the bed, Clara is just so quick to defend Cesar. She's like, well, he was fumigating my apartment. So he just must have left it there. And the boyfriend's like, under your bed?
Yeah.
Like, come on. And she's like, no, like, I don't know, I think, I trust him. I think it's fine. And I get they're trying, I don't know. I guess it's trying to say like, she's naive because maybe she doesn't know about, but which I think there are people like that who just want to see the good in everybody. But I feel like the movie hates Clara too, which like they're trying to say like, well, she's stupid and, she's not thinking, because he even writes at one point, like, I can't believe you don't know that who I am yet. Like he said, like Cesar thinks she's stupid. And another thing I wanted to say is like, I empathize with Clara so much in this movie because like, I love that when we do see her, it's only from Cesar's perspective. We never see her on her own, which I think is very smart. And, at one point she's talking to her boyfriend. And this is after, she hasn't been chloroformed in a few nights. And she's like, yeah, I'm sleeping better now, because before she'd felt tired during the day. And when that's in your life, like when in your life, you feel like there's something amiss with you every day, health wise and whatnot. This is something women go through a lot and then get told by the doctors like, well, no, you're fine. So I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just empathized with her so much. I know it's because she's getting chloroform, but this is like a real thing people go through. And then again, to still be like, okay, let me just try to see, let me try to not slip into despair is such a great quality that a human could ever have. That just makes them, my kind of person. And to think that there would be people that are like, and fuck her for not being miserable like me, just makes me so mad.
Well, and I think that's a really good point that you made. I mean, it's sort of seen as a weakness, but it's an incredible sign of strength. It's not like she's an idiot. She can see what's going on in the world just like anybody else. But just to be like, well, I'm just going to make the best of it. And I'm just going to try my best and, be kind to people. And I think that's incredibly difficult to do. And it shows a sign of real strength. Marcos catches Cesar trying to sneak out of his apartment. He explains his reason for being there. Deceiving them, he leaves the apartment and heads downstairs only to find out he is going to be fired. Clara and Marcos are about to go on a trip and have to return as Clara turns out to be 4 weeks pregnant. Marcos is surprised as he always used a condom when they had sex.
I love this scene because Clara, I like this scene a lot because, the boyfriend's obviously like they've clearly had a fight about like him maybe insinuating she cheated on him, but she's so like, no, like I didn't. And she almost seems to be not wanting to think about what it could mean. Whereas, and I love the way the boyfriend frames it. I think he seems like a great guy because he's like, can you blame me for at least showing like a bit of surprise when this is true? Like, that you're this far along, but we haven't had sex in this amount of time. And she's like, well, the doctor said it could technically be possible. And he's like, yeah, okay. But like, can we talk about why this could have happened? Like I think is at some point even realizing like, I don't think she cheated on me. Like what could this mean? Mm-hmm. And that felt very real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Marcos knocks at Cesar's place and asks him to check out Clara's apartment, stating there is a bug problem again. Cesar goes to check the apartment, but realizes that Marcos has caught onto him sneaking into her place and has found out what Cesar has been drugging her with. Cesar and Marco begin to fight, and Cesar grabs a piece of glass and stabs Marcos' neck, killing him. Oh, but this is a pretty cool shot. He leaves the glass in the neck and like maneuvers him until he's in the bathroom so that he can put his body inside the tub and then remove the glass.
That was great.
Pretty and awesome stuff.
Turning on the shower and how the water like rises, and like the acting from Marcos was so good. The way he's just looking at him like, I can't do anything right now, but like I see what you're about to do to me, and he's able to stage it as a suicide, which is like, yeah. Also with a piece of glass in the neck, these are the most incompetent cops ever because like there's too much movie magic going on here. I was explaining the plot to Alan and he's like, wait, how did he not get caught for like sending her the letters? I was like, he was able to frame somebody.
Yeah.
Like you think if the cops talk to this guy and he's like, I don't even know who that is, like they wouldn't think, well, who else has access?
But he's so arrogant that he leaves the yellow stationery like in his workspace. Like he just figures like he's invulnerable, I guess. He'll find some way out of his spot. Knowing that Ursula knows Cesar was involved in Marcos' death, Cesar sneaks into her apartment and threatens Ursula to never rat him out to guarantee that he does not go to jail. Oh my God.
This was so scary.
So scary.
Like she goes to get her parents, but they've been chloroformed. And then, and also, okay, again, movie magic with the chloroform. I don't think you can chloroform somebody for like a week and that not be like, she's like, oh, the doctors didn't see anything, bro. Like that's not real, but okay. But this is so scary because he's like, I found your Twitter. Here are your friends. Like if I've done horrible things to Clara, so I can do that to you too. So now and we didn't mention him being mean to Veronica. Like when he goes on that whole speech about like, so sad so how alone you are. This movie hates women. It hates old women. It hates young women. It hates children. Like
female children.
If you're a girl, not boys, little girls, we'll put them in duress.
Well, he hates the boy. I mean, he gets him fired, but yeah.
Yeah. But that's more so to save his skin.
Yeah, definitely. But he puts her in the window. What's it called? He puts her in the window. like in an open window. And he like threatens, he's like, practically pushes her out the window. He's like, I can do this. Like, you see what I'm capable of doing. And her demeanor completely changes. She's completely freaked out at this point. I just got goosebumps. So scary.
She gets the full award too, because instead of, again, going to the police, she leaves a note in his office that says, I saw you. Okay.
Sometime later, Clara has moved out of the apartment and had her baby. Cesar mails her a letter saying he hopes that any time she looks at their child, she will think of him, and he thanks her for helping him finally be happy.
And this shot of her picking up her baby, who she's thought is her dead, ex-boyfriend, and to now know this is, like, she cries, and like the actress does such a great, like, throwing her head back in despair. She hugs the baby close. And then what I fucking hated is that, because in the movie they've had every day be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We see him in like a bathroom and it says Monday. So he's going to go do this to another woman.
Mm-hmm.
It depressed me so much. I'm like, and he doesn't even get his comeuppance.
One thing also is the boyfriend knew before he died that Cesar had impregnated her, because he's like, how long have you been doing this? And he says 5 weeks. So, but that I thought was kind of a plot hole, because I thought that he had sort of been ramping up, first he's lying under the bed, then he's like, messing with her hair, with her products, then the bugs, then the injecting her with semen. I thought that would be like the last thing. So she should only be 1 or 2 weeks pregnant. But no, that's like the first thing that he did.
And okay. I feel like the guy who wrote this has never talked to a woman in his life, had never felt the touch of a woman. Like, you're telling me this guy assaulted her in her sleep in a way that could get her pregnant, and no evidence is left behind that makes her go, that's weird. I feel a little bit weird. I hate this movie.
Now, I wonder how you're going to feel when I tell you that this was directed by the same guy who made Wreck.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in him. Yeah, very disappointed. I feel like if you see yourself, if you have been depressed, I don't mean that, but if you see yourself in him in the way of feeling like, fuck these bitches for being so happy, help is what you need.
Yes.
Like, I'm not even kidding you. I'm not being funny. Like, you need serious help because you're wrong. Like, I can say objectively, you're wrong about what you think. And the incel ideology of like, damn, these bitches, they hate me because I'm not like a fucking Chad or whatever. Do you know how many like guys are with women who, if we were just talking shallowly, we'd all say, wow, she's out of his league. Like, this is a common occurrence. Like, this is like, and I'm not saying looks are everything, truly, but women believe this too, clearly. So, like, if you are alone, you gotta look inwardly, because I think you could look at yourself and think, I'm not attractive. And I guarantee you there is somebody who will date you. Like, I think this is true, Mm-hmm. I think you see examples of it everywhere, where there's people that are not stereotypically attractive, and not in very many ways, that find people who love them. And it's because of who they are. I think who you are makes you beautiful, So shaking my damn head.
Mientras Duermes is the name of the television program for which the journalist Angela works in the film Wreck by director Jaume Balaguerro.
I guess I'll say he's a great director. Like, I think this movie's well made, and I think the scenes are tense, and it, again, has made me feel so many emotions. Negative, but...
Now, if the old woman had been an old man, do you think your feeling would be any different?
Yes, I think you'd also honestly have to make the little girl a little boy for me to feel different and for me to not feel like whoever, because yes, there's so much violence perpetrated towards Marcos specifically, but there's cruel torment psychologically towards women.
Yeah.
Like, and it doesn't even matter if how they've treated this guy. He just hates them. Like Veronica is an old woman who has no, children, no partner. She has her dogs. That is, again, a woman seeing the best in a situation, like, yeah, I'm sure there's people she talks to who are like, oh, this old lady's talking to me again. But does that not speak to the kindness of humanity, that sometimes we withstand a little bit of discomfort because we know it will make somebody else happy? Like, you'll talk to the old lonely lady because you're like, well, let me not be mean to her,
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It does pack such a huge punch at the end. And if you can get over the thing that I really couldn't get over, that I thought he was doing an escalating series of attacks on her, then I think it is truly horrifying. And this is a horror film.
Yeah.
But I agree with you now that the torment that he inflicts on the female characters even if he kills one man, it can't compare to the torment that he inflicts on these women.
Yeah. And I was saying to Alan, like I took Old Boy as an example of a movie with an extremely fucked up plot that ends in an extremely fucked up way that fills you with despair in a way. But I would watch that movie 10 times over and enjoy myself and feel better for watching it. Like, with how horrible it is, it's so enjoyable. Well, it's such an enjoyable film.
There's no justice here. There's no justice at all. And so that's what's also really horrifying about this, closed system that we have in this movie. Well, briefly, what does Letterboxd have to say about it? Well, Irius gave it a 0.5 star. Cine para incels. An ice ship gave it 1 star, scrolling desperately to find a review done by a woman. Stephen Dedalus gave it 1 star. Mean just for the sake of mean. Ugh. But Gore Girl gave it 5 stars. So good. A perfect horror thriller. The performances were great and the story was well paced. It really taps into that fear that you never know who people really are behind closed doors. It was unsettling and a thrill to watch. Very good. Starstruck _ gave it 5 stars. I'm never living anywhere near men or civilization. But gave it 5 stars. Remiglass gave it 5 stars. One of the few horror movies relying on strictly human actions to frighten me.
I think in a vacuum, let's say that there weren't horrible injustices perpetrated towards women and children like every day. I could maybe appreciate this movie more, but it honestly does feel tone deaf in a way. And it's so tough because I would agree it's well made and the pacing, is great. It's horrifying and thrilling. I just feel like, if there was to be a movie that was all like, because Alan, when I was explaining the plot to him, he was like, well, do you think the movie is trying to say these things are bad? And I'm like, I don't even know, because there's like nothing bad happens to him. So he gets exactly what he wants in the end. And the women only suffer. And like now, Clara's got to live with this for the rest of her life. I'm sure she'll find a way, but that's still maybe so heinous and fucked up, like, so
yeah,
shaking my damn head.
It's not the worst thing you could do to anybody,
Yeah,
because she's going to live with this child forever, and the child's not going to ever know like why there's this like undercurrent of resentment and horror and fear that the mother has toward toward it,
He took her choice away. Like, this movie is like anti-pro-choice. I'll say it. Like, I think people can, be like impregnated by somebody who raped them and that be their choice. And they have that child and they choose to do that. That is a choice many people make, that's their choice to make. She did not even get the choice to have any idea, and
yeah. Well, how would we rate this? Let's rate this in terms of cockroaches.
It's so crazy that scene is maybe one of my biggest fears, and that pales in compare. Like, that scene, I would take a whole movie of that over this. I'm going to give it 2 ratings, okay?
Okay.
If I'm taking my emotions out of it. Now, I'll mix them. I'll give it 3 cockroaches, honestly, because I think it's really well made. And I think the actors all do a great job. I thought the bug scene was, that was great. I think a lot of those were CGI bugs, and great.
For
Good
2011,
job. Yeah. But if it was purely on how I felt watching it and post-watching it, like, cockroach eggs, they're not even hatched yet. 0, negative.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to say 3.5, I guess. I think it's really good. I think the acting's good. The writing's good. It is really it is mean-spirited, I guess. Its heart is not in the right place. I don't know how else to say it, but it's not a comfortable watch for sure. And where it's coming from is pretty bleak and mean. I think it is mean.
Yeah.
To me, that means it's pretty childish.
Yeah. It's not a nuanced take, I would say, in any way.
No, I just can't get over the basically 180 I've done on this film. Like, when we were talking about it, I was just like, I've got just the one,
Well, I'm glad we watched. I don't know. We watched it.
Yeah, me too. It's just so funny how people change, myself included. What have we learned? I think trust your instincts. Again, this generally comes into play when we're talking about a female protagonist. But there were moments when I feel like she did not pay attention to her feelings. And she should have. We all should.
And share what you're going through. I think the fact she didn't share this, her boyfriend probably would have been like, okay, we got to get you out of there, for one. So yeah, if you're going through something, I think you needn't go through it alone. Don't antagonize dangerous people. I will, little Ursula, I think writing that note of "I saw you," that was a bad move for her.
Yeah.
I think she should have kept her mouth shut, and then, the safety of, and if you know that there's an adult, maybe don't extort them, talk to your parents if you feel safe enough to. Yeah.
And you can watch dirty movies your whole life later. You don't need to watch them right now.
No.
Would we watch it again?
No.
Favorite scene? There's only one kill.
As much as I, again, hate it, I do feel like the final scene is so good in how horrible it is. That actress just does such a great cry that you feel it. You feel depressed. So.
Yeah. If not that one, then I think the one with Veronica, because I think the actress there too, all she's doing is reacting to what he's saying. And it's almost like, when somebody is that vicious to you. It's like you can't even believe it. You're just sort of like, like you're sort of going with it. And then all of a sudden it's like occurring to you what's happening. And all of that happens on her face. And I just think it's really an amazing performance.
And him too, the actor, the way he delivers it, he sneaks it in by first being like, you're a really nice person. And then how it just keeps with this even tone. It was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. He's really, really great, actor. Yeah. All right. Who wins the You Fool Award? I think we already decided. Marcos.
Come on, bud.
Marcos, buddy. Okay. Well, that was Sleep Tight.
Okay. See For Me, our next movie in our home invasion theme. Here's a short plot summary from IMDb. When blind Sophie cat-sits a secluded house, thieves break in. Her defense is Kelly, an army vet who helps her survive. And then here's a little note. The term blind is not inherently offensive and is often the preferred term for describing the condition of sightlessness, but its use is context dependent. While acceptable when accurately describing someone's lack of sight, blind can be offensive if used as a derogatory metaphor, a synonym for ignorance or lack of understanding, or to promote negative stereotypes about blindness. When referring to an individual, it's best to use person-first language, for example, person who is blind, or ask the individual their preferred term, as some may prefer terms like low vision or visually impaired. Thank you for the note, because genuinely good stuff to think about. It was directed by Randall Okita, written by Adam York and Tommy Gushu, starring Skylar Davenport, Jessica Parker Kennedy, Laura Vandervoort, Matthew Govia, Emily Pigford, Joe Pingway, and Kim Coates. Cinematography by Jordan Oram and Jackson Perrell, edited by James Vandewater, with music by Joseph Murray and Ludwig Voss. Released June 10th, 2021 at Tribeca and January 7th, 2022 in Canada. It has a runtime of 92 minutes. Pretty snappy runtime. Mm-hmm. I thought is a nice bite-sized movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's get into the plot. We meet our main character, downhill skier Sophie Scott, who had her Olympic dreams dashed when she was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, a degenerative eye disease causing blindness. Although her friend Cam offers to help her train for the Paralympics by working as her seeing guide, she refuses and gives up on her skiing dreams. So instead, to make money, she cat-sits for wealthy homeowners and steals expensive wine for them to resell with help from Cam. So we kind of get a little bit of this, like, this movie is very much, the perspective of somebody who, like, Sophie did not always need assistance and seems to have been a very independent person, and now is surrounded by people who are babying her a little bit, like her mom wants to do everything for her, or, and even when somebody's kind of offering just like a basic, I think people at their core want to be helpful and want to make sure they are being helpful to other people. And she's very pointedly like, I got it. And I do like that. I feel like, it's abrasive to the people around her, and the people around her are shocked and seem dismayed, but she is feeling like people are holding her with, gloves, and she does not want this. And so I really like the relationship that develops between her and Kelly later. And her mom is questioning, like, oh, I saw this thing drop into your bank account. Like, is an extra $4,200. And she says, oh, well, that was just a tip for doing a great job. And the opening scene's great because she's, it's showing us how she has to make her way, being a blind person. And she's trying to sneak though out of this house without her mom detecting her. And I just think all the shots are very good. Like all the things she's thinking about, like not rolling her suitcase, stepping very quietly. And I guess it's a good prelude to having to be sneaky later in the movie. And she's trying to just leave without saying anything to her mom and just take a cab to this house. And, her mom's like, well, at least let me drive you, and she's like, no, I got it. It's fine. So she answers an ad for a cat sitter placed by Deborah, a rich woman in upstate New York, leaving for a vacation after just divorcing her husband. And this house is beautiful. When I was a landscape designer, I got to go into a few insanely beautiful houses, and I don't know, it's like there's kind of like suburb rich, where because some people I grew up with, like I'd go over to their house and it'd be kind of like the American, maybe I don't know if it's more southern, but like this kind of like looks like it was built out of a box big house. It's big, and that must put a lot of money into it. But then there's the next level fancy houses that are like, every inch of this must be expensive. And so being inside those houses feels insane. And I feel like I was in a house that looked similar to this once. It kind of reminds me of the brother-in-law's house from Severance.
Oh,
that kind of like, like more modern, like wintry house in the middle of nowhere, so off the beaten road. So as Deborah is like telling her these things, she's just very much like, no, you don't have to show me. I got it. No, it's okay. I got it. And Deborah even says that like she's the last one who like answered, or this was very last minute. So she was like, well, I didn't know if you could, just, anyways, okay, bye. So people are very awkward around her, which must be annoying. And so her mom has also sent her a text of like, hey, here's this app I think would be good for you. And this app does exist in real life, the See For Me, where, somebody, who needs help can call somebody to like be their eyes and, be like, an example was given in the movie, like, is my milk expired? This person could just look and say, oh, here's the date. I love that. That's like stuff technology is great for.
Yeah.
And so after we get kind of the lay of the land, Sophie goes out to smoke, which I do think is a great detail of like, oh, she really must not care about fitness if, or Olympic anything if she's smoking. But she locks herself outside of the house. So she uses that See For Me app because she has a little bit of a fight with Cam, who actually is kind of her eyes when she's going around the house, because he tells her, I'm not going to help you sell. He feels really guilty about lifting this stuff. And, she's of the mind of like, she's not going to miss one thing. And she hasn't gotten caught yet, but he's kind of like, do you think just you being like blind will prevent you from getting in trouble? And she's kind of like, yeah. But since he refuses to help, she doesn't want to call him. So she uses the See For Me app. And first she's connected to somebody who's everything she hates, being like, oh, sweetheart, like, oh, what do you need? Oh, well, I think we're going to have to make a trip down to the neighbor's house for a locksmith. So she connects to Kelly, who is a gamer in Florida. And this character seems like not a real human in any way, but like, I love her. This is a fantasy human. She's so cool. She's like gaming. Okay, I have played games with people over like a call before. And maybe some people do talk like this, but it's like she's talking to them like she is in the army. Like she is such a two-dimensional character in a way to me, where, she's like, got your 6, blah, 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 blah. All right, copy that. Bro, come on. Like nobody's playing a game like this, or if they were, they'd be made fun of. But then she gets, this See For Me notification. So she's like, all right, I got to take 5, takes her headphones off. And I love this. She's got like one of those monitors that's like, more vertical, and she, projects it there so she can, and she's giving Sophie really just more so distinct, like, all right, can you rotate it like this many degrees? All right, now, show me this. You're going to have to show me this if I'm going to have to look at it for you. So she's really talking to her like she's a person. And, so they end up going more around the house to find like a sliding door that she helps her get back inside. Sophie the whole time is kind of rude and abrasive, but then by the end really sees like, okay, no, this lady was really helpful. And so we see that she adds her to like a priority if she's going to use the service again. So that night, Sophie goes to bed watching, kind of a Paralympics example of skiing where the whole idea is that somebody, again, is your eyes. And skiing is such a dangerous sport. Like, I honestly don't think you'll ever catch me skiing in my life because the amount of people I've heard get injuries from it, like, it just seems so dangerous. So it also being somebody that is guiding you is a whole level of trust. So, and Cam has offered this to her, but she's still kind of reticent, I think, to even get into it. So then she falls asleep. But she's awoken in the middle of the night by, at first, I think, do we just see the two guys at first breaking in, or do we see all three of them?
No, I think just two.
Okay, yeah. So we see, two guys break in. They're very, high tech, like, they got their lights set up, they got a drill set up. So she calls 911 to report the break-in, but the operator tells her it'll be a long response time because the house is in the middle of nowhere. So she hangs up and uses C4Me to contact Kelly again. And this scene is so great. I mean, like, Kelly, the way she talks to her, she's like, Kelly, like, there's somebody who, came into the house and, and Kelly immediately like locks in and is like, oh, okay. Do you want me to call 911 for you? And she kind of helps her around, but also now Sophie is so scared and like just kind of trying to run past, and we have several moments where Kelly's like, no, like, don't go that way. There's a guy that way. And so she ends up being caught by the men who disconnect the video call. And Kelly, really wants to still be of help. So she contacts the police to have them cross-reference 911 calls and attempt to locate the house that Sophie is in. Again, this woman is like so knowledgeable of everything, Yeah. Because at first the operator is like, well, I don't know. How do we know? And she's like, well, you need to cross-reference, blah, 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 blah. Like, so I like her. Like, I like this movie. There were just a few times where I was like, this is movie magic. This is not real. So Sophie learns that the men have broken into the house to steal $7 million hidden in a safe in the wall. And after checking Sophie's phone and seeing that she called 911, they contemplate giving up the score and killing her. There's like one guy in particular who's so like, you said nobody was going to be here. Like, he was only here to steal some money. He did not want to get into any human thing. And another guy who's kind of more so like, just let me like I'll kill her, but they call some guy on the phone, who's the ringleader of it all. And Rico, who tells them to let Sophie live because, they figure out that she is blind. And so she technically has not seen anyone. So she can't identify them. And he instructs them to pack up their gear and come back later because the police are already on the way. But then Sophie convinces them to give her a share of the take in exchange for sending the police away. Which, again, now that I've watched it, how did these guys think that this was going to happen? Like, that you could call somebody, then be like, I was just JK, like, there's nobody who broke in, and that they would not search the premises. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think they would definitely search. It's probably protocol or whatever. But I guess, she's so convincing. And,
that's true.
I guess they thought it would be convincing to the police to be like, oh, I heard, I'm visually impaired and I just heard something and it,
yeah.
I just
my
assumed
mistake.
somebody had broken in. Yeah.
Because when she calls them at first, they're like, well, we can't stop. Like, they're going to come over. But, Rico really likes Sophie. Like, he kind of admires the guts of this girl. So he's like, okay, yeah, sure. So she calls 911 a second time to try to cancel, but they have to respond. So then there's
just one shot that I thought was really, really scary where she like, I she like goes out of a door and there's like a guy like right behind her. Or she goes into a doorway and there's a guy like right behind her. Just because of the nature of the story, they were just able to set up some shots that were really pretty suspenseful and stuff.
And like the one that was more like wide out, where, because this is a kind of like one of those long houses with all these windows, and there's like lighted, like anywhere that the thieves are, it's more blue light because they've got this flashlight, whereas like Sophie's turning on like more warm lights, so it's like, you know, they're both kind of traveling in different ways. Very cool. So a deputy comes to investigate. I do like that it is a woman. I do like the amount of women in this movie. Sophie lies and says that there's no emergency, and you know, first the deputy's kind of like very suspicious. Like she's like, really? Like you mistook a TV? And she's like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. And she kind of convinces her, even though the cop is and there's a lot of tense moments, like a phone rings and the cop's like, all right, I mean, I'll just go get that for you, you know? And so goes into the house and, you know, gives it to Sophie. And, but, you know, Sophie, again, like you said, is able to be convincing by being like, look, like, do you think I wanted you to come all the way over here and embarrass myself like this? And the cop's like, okay. I think what I like is there's a lot of kind of unsaid things in the movie and the relationship between somebody who's trying to be fiercely independent and other people who don't know how to react around her and are kind of like, okay, like if you say so, you know, which I think is so real. I think there's so many situations where it's uncomfortable and we don't know what to do. And I think people are trying to, you know, be helpful, but it can be in a way that's makes somebody feel coddled or babied. And so I like how that's explored. So as the deputy is about to leave, Kelly's alert is radioed out and Sophie's lie is revealed. So the deputy calls for backup, goes back into the house, you know, to get Sophie behind her and attempts to arrest the intruders, you know, and she's asking like, you know, how many of them are in there? And now Sophie's finally telling like, oh, there's 3, I think, you know, and then but then the deputy is killed by one of the men who like strangles her to death. Was it with a shoelace?
I don't know. I
just
couldn't
like choked her.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like a scuffle. Oh, because there is one guy who comes out at first and is like, it's just me, you know? And he's willing to take the fall for it because a breaking and entering would, in the grand scheme of things, this guy's a criminal. He's kind of like, okay, whatever, you know, like we could still have all this money. It's so much money that he's willing to do this. But another crony takes it upon himself to kill the cop, which is so like, I like how all the other guys are like, dude, come on. Like it's not even just killing, you know, I mean, just, you know, like it was one thing to murder this girl, is another to murder a cop. Like with backup on the way. Like you fucked us all. And I just love that there was one guy who was just so like such a coward. Like he just was like, dude, I just want to go home. Like, let's just come back later. But during this whole scuffle, Sophie has escaped, you know, so the guys are like, well, where'd the girl go? And so she takes the deputy's gun and calls Kelly for help. Kelly, I love this because I guess, you know, we've had the parallel now of Kelly doing like shooting games, like first person shooter. So now like Sophie is her first person shooter character. You know, she's like, angle it up, angle it left, you know, because there's a great, I mean, Sophie does not want to kill these guys. Who would? And there's a great scene where they're in this like, you know, little greenhouse area. And one of the guys has a knife that obviously Sophie can't see. And then also Kelly can't because with the camera, there's just so much glare from his flashlight, I think. So she can't even see the knife yet, but she, you know, gets Sophie to aim perfectly, but Sophie won't shoot. And she's like, fire, you know, come on, fire. And the guy's just slowly inching closer, like, I'm not going to hurt you. But then, you know, Kelly finally sees the knife and then Sophie kills the guy. All the shooting is great. Like the actors doing their little like body wiggle, I thought was great. Uh, and the drill guy, he's just drilling like this whole time. He's just focused on the drilling.
He was my favorite.
Me too. I was kind of like, because even, well, we'll get to it, but I liked him too. I felt bad for him in a way. And so then, that's the guy who was going to take the fall for the breaking and entering. Sophie then gets accosted by the guy who did the murdering, and they have a bigger scuffle in the like wine cellar area. But with Kelly's help, Sophie's able to get that guy as well. And so then Kelly's kind of telling her, like, listen, you can just, like, the other guy's still drilling. You can just chill here, wait till the cops come. And there's only one way in and one way out. So, because her battery's dying. And so she's like, you don't even need my help. Like, you can just keep it aimed. And if he's dumb enough to come down here, you can get him. Or you can, go to him. So that's what they decide to do. So the guy is drilling. Sophie comes up from behind him, but she's still, again, unwilling to shoot. Because this guy is really being like, dude, like, I for real, like, she's like, well, we'll wait till the cops get back. But that's when this guy kind of gets a little bit in his head, like, kind of like, I think I can get out of this. Because he grabs some money and he's like, you can have the rest of it. And so, Sophie keeps telling him, like, well, if you keep moving, I'm going to shoot you. I was a little bit uncomfortable at how pro killing robbers this movie is. Because I do believe that I think it would have been way more effective if we had some sort of insane remorse from Sophie for like the murdering she's committing. Like, yes, these guys are breaking and entering. And yes, one of them was going to kill her. Even if somebody was going to kill you and you were doing it for self-defense, I think murdering somebody would be of great anguish to you.
Yeah.
It has to be. Yeah.
It's
and
a little,
it wasn't really,
it's a little video gamey, and their lives are pretty much worthless. Yeah.
Yes. And Kelly's like, so, I mean, because this guy, I really think this guy could have gone out with nobody killed. Like, it was a choice to literally go after him, to kill him.
Yes.
When he did not, he said, and even when he goes to grab a weapon, again, this is not great, but it's a taser. It's something that would incapacitate her, but would not kill her. I mean, it could, but very different than grabbing a knife. So I feel like that's an important detail. And yet he's still gunned down. And we're not supposed to feel bad for any of them. Yeah. And I do feel bad for him. Honestly.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the movie should feel bad for him. And Kelly's just so like, who gives a fuck, I think Sophie would. I think she would give a fuck about this. So all this happens. Her phone dies. Her call with Kelly ends. She kills the guy who reaches for the police officer's taser. So then she waits for the police to arrive, but then is surprised by the appearance of Rico, who is the ex-husband that Deborah has divorced. He hired all three of the robbers to break into the safe to steal his money back from his wife, who he says she had no idea existed and is like blood money or something anyway. And so he's like, hey, let's split it. I still feel like we could do that. Sophie refuses and cuts off the lights in the house to bait him into pursuing her. And so they have a confrontation, cool, like red lights, like emergency lights, and he's a cartoon character too. Cause he's like, oh, so that's your answer. And then, goes after her. I would simply take the money and leave. Like, I guess he has revealed, why did he say that? Okay. He might win the You Fool Award. They have a confrontation. She shoots at the guy, but runs out of ammo. He starts strangling her, but then she somehow gains the upper hand and bludgeons him to death with the bottle of wine, which again, that is even crazier than shooting somebody, is taking it within your own hands to melee murder them. Yeah. That would affect you. And we jump cut to Sophie recovering in the hospital, tells her mom that she's decided to try out for Paralympics and wants to ski again. Okay, she's murdered 4 men and is like, yeah, I'll just get back into skiing. I stopped smoking. Like, I don't need any coping mechanisms. I'm fine. Okay, that's crazy. I think you need therapy. The mom is honestly even surprised too. She was like, wait, what? Then we jump cut again. Oh yeah, because the mom's like, well, we'll need money to buy all the gear. And Sophie clutches her backpack and smiles. So she stole the money.
Yeah.
Okay. And we get one moment of remorse for her at some point. She's talking to Kelly earlier. And she's like, it's my fault that the cop died. Yeah. It is. It's totally your fault. And, Kelly doesn't even like give her, any heartache for that. And we get a mysterious, like, Kelly is like, I did bad things in my past. What were they? Well, we'll never find out. So don't question it. And so then again, jump cut. Sophie's video calling Kelly to give her an update on her skiing progress while Cam acts as Sophie's guide. Also, at some point, Kelly reveals she used to ski. What doesn't she do? Like, why is she?
She's like perfect.
Yeah. Why is she a gamer now? Why is she not in the army anymore? We don't know. So I think this movie is entertaining, and I didn't really think about these things in the moment, but now I am. And I'm like, I did think Kelly was a cartoon character. Okay. You know, what's so frustrating? I would say that the first movie is way better.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's better in like any way except for the agency of the women. That's the one thing this movie's got is, we got a lot of women with agency helping women out. Not the cop. Okay. RIP. But everybody else. I really thought that Kelly in the end was going to be like her skiing go-to. And I'm glad that didn't happen. I was like, I'll throw my computer because that would be crazy. That'd be a Disney movie. Well, here's some trivia. Skylar Davenport, the actress for Sophie, is legally blind in real life. I thought that was great. Like, there's a lot of realism, I feel like, in the way she moves. Well, briefly, what does Letterboxd have to say about it? Sentai Pink give it 5 stars. Great suspense in a secluded snowy setting. A lead you're rooting for based on her complexity and not her disability, and finding a way to use technology to further the plot instead of eliminating it 5 minutes in made this one of the best horror films I've seen recently. Highly recommended. Can I get a list of the other ones you've seen? Just to compare. K. Russ gave it 5 stars. Really thought we'd get more cat action in this, but I'm not complaining. I do like that the cat was out of harm's way.
Yeah, me too.
This next review is crazy. Ellie Bar gave it 5 stars. This movie is so good. Almost as good as Paddington 2. Now, there's where I gotta disagree with you. I gotta disagree with you there. The leagues of which Paddington 2 is above this movie cannot even be described. That's insulting to Paddington 2.
Yeah.
And very kind to this movie. Maria gave it a 0.5 star. How the fuck does a blind person turn into John Wick? Now, okay.
She did have some help. A lot of help.
Yeah, she had to help. We can't do anything without help in this world. And I did think when the phone died and she still was able to shoot that guy, I was like, now how?
Yeah.
Like, when did that happen? But Nix Nava gave it a 0.5 star. Let me break it down for you. First hour, intro to the worst character ever, then a whole lot of nothing. Last 30 minutes, use of C4Me to shoot bad guys. Ending, I'll turn my life around but still want to be a criminal. I would disagree about the worst character ever.
Yeah, she's not the worst character ever. She's not great.
But she's human. Like,
yeah.
I don't want perfect people. I want complicated people. And everything she does makes so much sense, except for the ending where the deaths of even if somebody was killed in front of you, I don't think you'd be like, and I'm doing great. Never, my life has never been better. Unless there was an epilogue where that was only like a short high and then she wallowed in despair, that would be realistic.
Yeah.
I just simply do not like it when violence is treated like it has no effect on anybody.
Right.
Even John Wick. I mean, okay, he's dispatching many people, but I think we see some feelings of like, oh, my life, this is crazy, you know?
That's an amazing John Wick impression.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
And our last review is a 0.5 star from Vicarous Buddy. Like, she barely babysits the cat. Atlas is a great name for a cat.
Oh, it is a really great name for a cat.
Well, how would we rate it? How about drills? Now I'm comparing, like, if I gave the first movie 3 stars, now what scale is that?
I mean, that's why I was kind of like torn with the first one, because I feel like 3 is like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like if it's racist or it's like incredibly misogynistic or, you know, whatever, then you can't make it to 3 stars. Like if there's something, that's my scale. Like 3 is fine. It's fine. It won't hurt you. And I feel like this is definitely a 3 movie, which would mean that the other one would have to be closer to a 4.
It's true. It honestly is true. Like, the quality of the first movie cannot be discounted. You know, a lot of work went into it. I'll amend my rating to 4 roaches. I'll give this one 3 drills.
I need to get back to, like, for a very short window of time, I was actually putting these rankings on the Instagram, you know, stories. So it'd be like 3 drills from Mac, you know, or like 2.5 from Mom or whatever.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that. I got to get back to that. That was kind of fun.
It's cute. You could do little emojis too.
Little
3 drills. 4 roaches. Be cute. Well, what have we learned?
You need friends in this world.
Yes. You can't do everything alone.
No, you can't.
That's true for anybody.
Yeah, just think if she were all by herself.
Yeah, like she would turn into a misanthrope.
Oh,
I think
for sure.
Having Kelly, like, because I liked the way Kelly treated her too, is like when she would kind of give her sass, she'd be like, okay, I'm trying to help you, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what she wanted. Yeah. Is like, if then you're like, guys, the way you're doing it is too much. If that's what you're communicating, everybody's just like, oh, okay. You know, that would piss me off. So for somebody to be like, hey, listen, can we come to a compromise? Like, you need help. I'm trying to help you.
I think that's all anybody wants. You know, I don't think anybody wants to be treated special, you know, just in virtue of the fact of fill in the blank. I think everybody just wants to be treated like a person. And it's when it's people's discomfort is what turns them into, you know, if you're dealing with a little old lady, or you're dealing with somebody with a disability, or I don't know, somebody who doesn't speak the language or something like that. That's where we run into trouble, because we're not treating them just like a person, just like we would want to be treated.
Yeah,
so I think that's Kelly's superpower, is understanding that, at least.
Yeah. Would we watch it again?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
You know,
I've seen it a couple times.
Go out of my way. But
no, it's fine.
It's cute. It's a cute movie. Favorite scene and/or kill? I like the scene where the guy's inching towards her with the knife.
That's pretty scary.
We saw some human things of like, I don't want to shoot somebody right now. I feel like I'd be like that. I'd be like, wait, shoot? Like him in the body? Yeah.
I think the sequence in the sort of cat and mouse inside the house, just before they've had their first confrontation, is pretty suspenseful.
Yeah. Like she's trying her best to tiptoe and stuff. Who wins the You Fool award? Rico. I think he could have made it out of there with his head and maybe some money had he. They should have just been like, dude, let's call it. Like, let's. But I guess they thought we won't. Anyways, but Rico.
Well, thank you, Mac, for having this conversation with me about Sleep Tight and See For Me.
Thank you.
And thank you, WoHos, for joining us and for all your support. It means the world of horror to us truly. We appreciate you downloading the show and telling all your friends all about us. Next time, we will be looking at movies about trying to defy fate. We'll be watching A Day from South Korea and Final Destination Bloodlines from the US. Remember, WoHos, we love you, and don't go into the basement.